Hey everyone, I am here with my good friend Matt Cohn. We just had a great conversation, did a couple podcast episodes, of course, and Matt, he has a very interesting story. You can find more about him at karmaventures.org and also theabundancemodel.org. But Matt is he's a giver. We were connected. In his old life, he was a business executive and was very successful and decided to make a change. And now he just lives based on abundance and consciousness and brings business and consciousness together. And it's just fascinating stuff. So Matt, how's it going, man?
It's going really well, brother. Good to talk to you
Thanks.
again.
Yeah, you too. And before we hit record, you were in the process. I stopped you because you're in the
Yeah.
process of telling me about a really fascinating dream that you had. And I'd love to hear it. I'm actually very fascinated to hear it, but I wanted to do it here so that people get my real reactions and we make it as authentic as possible. So the floor is yours.
No worries. As I was saying, in about 2012, I had a pretty crazy awakening. And about that time, between 3 and 5 in the morning at night, I'd get visited by this funny little Yoda monk in my dreams. And literally, it's just these conversations with this guy. And so beginning of this year, I used to tell friends about these dreams. In the beginning of this year, I was really challenged by a friend of mine to start journaling them and putting them out to other people. And so I have a private email list that I send it to. It isn't something I've been willing to sort of put out on Facebook and things, but I'd be happy if someone is called to hear about this stuff. I'd happy to email it to them. So this Yoda monk shows up and he continually tells me, but I could be wrong. He's kind of like a low-level monk in another dimension. So he kind of has a sense of what's going on, but he definitely doesn't profess to know the ultimate reality. So he's this kind of cool compatriot of mine. So last night he came to me and visited me and he talked to me. He was saying, how do you like all this Zoom world? And I was like, the last 3 weeks, I've done a Zoom yoga class. I've had dinner with my family over Zoom. I'm helping some friends learn about meditation. I played Monopoly on Zoom the other day. And I said, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like I'm connected to these people all over the place. And he said, you know what, Matt? It's just a sign of things to come. He said, the Zoom now is this external interface where we can connect to people. But you know what's coming is through meditation practices and our developing of our intuition and third eye, you're going to be doing all the same things you're doing on Zoom anytime you want. Literally sit down and you'll see a screen inside of your mind where you'll see your mom or whoever you choose to dial up. It's all there. And he said, you've been doing this all along. You just forget about it during the day. But at nighttime, you communicate with all kinds of people all over the place. When you get tired, you take a nap and you turn off those capabilities and you wake up into this weird dream during the day. So and then he said, at the end of it, I could be wrong. So he always tells me at the end, it could be full of shit. But in this case, I kind of have a sense he's real. I mean, if you think about my lifetime, we used to have dial-up phones, paper mail, there was online services, then the internet, then there's web phones and internet phones. And now I'm like more connected to people in my world. I know what my friends in Nepal had for dinner last night, right? So the idea that that's coming internal is like a Black Mirror episode coming real is what it feels like.
Yeah, it's amazing. Earlier today, I had tea with someone who was in the UK. We just sat here like this.
Yep.
I had tea,
Yep.
they had tea, and we had a great conversation. And I was like, well, as we were having that conversation, I remember saying, this is exactly what it would be like if we were in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
It just so happens I'm here and you're there. Like,
and he said the coolest thing after that is that we'll actually really feel each other from different differences. So, empaths and people that have done this all along where they can connect to people's feelings anywhere is that we're all going to have that people. And we're going to sit with my mom in my meditation and be able to really have a heartfelt connection with my mom and feel my mom's love for me. It's incredible. So I like the dream. I'm going to keep it going.
yeah.
I like the idea and the vision of it. Yeah.
Can you control your dreams?
I've been there, and lucid dreaming's super cool. It's kind of hard work and takes a lot of practice, but the idea of actually being able to change the dream while you're dreaming it. The other coolest part though is to imagine that if during the day we're dreaming, then we can lucid dream during the day, which would call manifestation or law of attraction or whatever, is the ability to perform miracles in front of us when we know we're dreaming in the daytime dream. The same practice is there to lucid dream during the daytime. Say, I'd like this to occur, and many times you can make it happen, right?
So when you have these dreams and this Yoda monk character comes into play, does that automatically trigger to you that this is a dream I'm having?
I get into this kind of, it's a between the world state. I'm sort of half awake, half asleep. And I feel my body, I feel sensations in my body, and this guy shows up. And if I surrender into the sensations in my body, he becomes more real. If I use my brain and start thinking, he starts to fade away. So it's this really cool kind of like throttling of him. And the more that I can just become present, he becomes real. And when I start to think and bring my own experience in, he starts to fade.
So you're not actually in a deep sleep. You're in that in-between stage. Okay, cool.
And some would call it just deep contemplation. Like if
Yeah.
you didn't, it's like I'm in this place where I'm not affected by the things around me in the physical, and I can start to feel like I'm getting downloaded or wisdom or just deep contemplation that comes to me in that space.
I get that. When I have experiences like that, or when they're the most memorable, have you ever done float therapy?
Oh, I've been in float tanks for long periods of time. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just so it's such a interesting experience. And
Yeah.
so the longest I've ever done is an hour, because that's what so 60 minutes. You've done 3 hours?
Yeah.
That's pretty intense, because I know that hour, like the first time I did it, it took me probably 30 to 40 minutes to get really relaxed and be able to enjoy it. Second time I did it, I got in there, and probably about 20 minutes I was there. The third time I did it, it was like 5 minutes and I was there. And then after that, it's just like you can get right into it. And it almost like there's a point where it feels like you're not there. You're out, like you could be outside, or you could be out doing something else, or in a different room or whatever. And it's like what you just explained. If you start thinking, okay, now I'm really in this think tank, or I'm really here, then it goes away. But if you just completely relax and let it go, there's some really interesting things that can happen within your own mind.
Yep, and that's it. I mean, it's meditative states, right? There's an awesome movie back in the 70s or 80s, Altered States, where the guy lived in a float tank and never came back. He just kept going. So
that's really interesting. So do you do that often? Do you float often, or is that just something you've dabbled
I've been in, when I'm in Seattle, I do, but I spend a large part of my year in third world countries, and there's no float tanks there. But when I get a chance to come into to Seattle in the Western world, I try to do float tanks a lot.
Yeah, I just find it's so relaxing.
There's a club here in Seattle that if you were a member, you could book your 1 hour, but they would let you stay until the next person came. So I'd go book my session for like 1 o'clock on a Wednesday. And then, the next person would show up at 4 hours, 4 o'clock. So you get 3 hour floats.
That's good. That's amazing. I don't know if I'm that brave to stay in there for 3 hours.
So the amazing thing from the body's perspective, when gravity and you relax more and more and more, your body kind of turns into this weird raisin where it has nothing to move against. So it starts to show you your current posture, which is pretty scary because it shows you where your body is tight, and you kind of come out of the thing and you're like this deformed like being like this. So I had this yoga teacher in India, and he encouraged us to sleep on a hard surface on the floor every night on a yoga mat. And he said, in doing that, the body will fix its posture. And I said, well, it's painful. And he said, well, the pain is showing where the body is healing itself. And so if you're in a comfortable bed, buy a $3,000 from a rest mattress, holds you in this pillow, it basically pacifies your body. And says, the body says there's nothing, right? Where if you lay flat out in prone corpse pose on the floor, it hurts, but the body says, well, that's because we're going to go fix all these things. Crazy, huh?
Yeah. What do you sleep at night? Do you sleep on the floor every night?
I've slept in like 500 beds the last 10 years. Some of them are super hard, sometimes on the floor. So I'm kind of a place now, if I have a comfortable bed, I'll take it. But it's kind of like eating ice cream. It's like I enjoy it, but I know it's probably not good for me.
That's fascinating. So yeah, I've slept on the floor many times, and it's not a fun experience. But yeah, so it makes sense. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I know my father's a chiropractor, and he always preaches like firm beds. The firmness is very important.
Heck yeah.
So,
Heck yeah. I mean, we don't like going to the dentist, but we can do it because it's good for us, right? And sleeping on a hard floor after a while becomes comfortable because the body's been fixed. So do we postpone? This teacher's often fond of saying comfort kills, right? So our chasing of comfort is what's killing us. And clearly our system is set up to sell us comfort. So it's hard to bypass the desire for comfort, but it's in fact comfort that's killing us.
Well, that's super fascinating. Matt, thanks so much for being here, for doing
Sure.
this. This was a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
man.
I love having conversations with you. Thanks so much for the podcast episodes. I can't wait to get those. Those will be coming out very soon. So everyone watching, keep an eye out for those. And I also want to remind people the abundancemodel.org is where they can find you. So they can go there. Matt, thanks again, my friend. And let's talk again real soon.
Take care, brother. See you.